Thinking about leaving your soul-sucking 9 to 5 job, one of the biggest struggles I see people, especially as women, face is the idea of having that safety net, that enticing perks and benefits, and listening to that head trash of what will people think if I leave. I totally get it, and I've been where you are. That's why I created a free guide to help you if you're thinking about putting in that notice. It's called Unlocking Your Exit Plan. Discover 5 things you need to do before leaving your 9 to 5. This guide is filled with worksheets and steps so you will have hand holding along the way. You can download your copy in the link in the show notes, and again, it's totally free. Now back to today's episode. Hey there, let's face it, today's internet world is so saturated and everyone is fighting for that number one spot to be visible. It is no longer about running ads and having thousands of people on your email list. It is about building relationships and networking with others to grow your business and become visible. Hi, my name is Candace. I'm a podcast launch strategist and I help service-based business owners develop and deliver their message to the world by using platforms like podcasting and bringing valuable content to those who need to hear what they have to say. Welcome to the Hello C.S. Dorsey podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Hello C.S. Dorsey podcast. I have Kathy on the show today. Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so excited. So tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Sure. I am Kathy Stowell, and I'm a business coach for moms who are coaches, and I help them get really clear on who they serve, what they offer their target audience, how they can help make their lives better so they can become an expert and really dive into a world of making a consistent income from being a coach.
Awesome. I cannot wait until we dive in. So let's talk about the inspiration behind starting your business. What was that like for you?
Yeah. Well, it was I think it goes way back. I was raised in a family of entrepreneurs. So my dad was a bush pilot / inventor. My mom, I grew up in the environment that she worked from home, meaning she was an extremely talented seamstress. And so she always had the same clients coming over with piles of fabric and patterns, and she would like crank out their season wardrobe. And both my brothers are avid entrepreneurs. My one brother has, what do you call it? You know, when you create something, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways.
No, yeah.
Yeah, he invented something, so now he has a trademark or whatever.
Oh,
Anyways,
okay.
so that we got two extremely entrepreneurial environment I grew up in. And then meanwhile, I did the corporate path at first. I went to university and I was involved in the advertising and marketing world. And then I met my husband, and on our first date, he asked me what my dreams were. And I told him I actually wanted to live on a farm and raise children out, in a farm-like setting. So he was into it. And so we did find some land. And then the crux was, what are we going to do for work? And where we found land, there was no industry around us. And so I had to get creative. And that's when I really got in touch with my entrepreneurial spirit again. So that was the inspiration of finding a path to be able to work from home and raise my kiddos there.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, everybody thinks I'm crazy because I say that I want to have a farm. And my mom was like, well, you're going to be the only one doing the work because it's a lot of work. But I just want to have little baby chickens and, little puppy running around, and then have I don't know if I can do the cows or the pigs, but just have a garden and just little small animals running around.
We had cows, and I was the milkmaid, and it was the most relaxing part of my day, just milking and listening to podcasts. Anyways, but we don't live on the farm anymore, but that sounds like my mom. My mom was a farm party downer. She was not backing the idea. And I think it's because she was kind of raised in that environment. For her, it was like a step down, but I was very excited about it.
Yeah, I love the whole farm idea. So can you remember a time in your business or starting out where you had a hello moment? Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Absolutely. So, because we moved to this acreage, it was actually 8 hours away from any real civilization. So, our parents, our families were 8 hours away. My daughter was a year old when we did this move. And so, I started a blog just so that they can keep tabs and also for me to document. I became a mom and something awakened in me, a very hyper crafty spirit. So I started knitting and spinning and felt all the things. And so I wanted to participate in that community because there's always these like knit alongs and stuff. So I started a blog for that reason. But then it turned into a big creative outlet for me, just having a blog myself. And it overshadowed all my other creative outlets. And then my aha moment came when we're here in the middle of nowhere, but the center of everything is what the locals called it. And I was like, how am I going to make an income from this? And I started experimenting with ways to monetize my love of blogging. And I tried all the things and I sold my yarn and the clothes I was sewing on Etsy, but it wasn't sustainable. By that time, I had 2 kids and I just wanted something. I knew I was onto something. I call it following your bliss crumb. There was something in me because through the blogging, I was connecting with moms just like me who had similar interests and who were on the same wavelength as me, who were also interested, in permaculture at the time and homesteading and homeschooling, all the homey things I was into at the time. And eventually, because I was sewing, I tried an e-course just to make it a little bit more scalable. And then my aha hello moment was when I started getting feedback from the sewing e-course. These women were sending me photos of themselves wearing this outfit that we were all working along together. And I created the pattern and everything. And my heart just like swelled seeing the look of pride in their faces. And the whole premise of the program was sewing, even though, I was running with my branding of having a hobby farm, even though you had rugrats around. So the concept was basically principles of creativity, of releasing perfection, embracing those little nuggets of time you are able to capture to do something where just speaks to your soul, that you just had this craving and to feel that empowerment of creating something from nothing and having pride in that. So that inspired me to get certified as a coach. And because I wanted to take it deeper, I wanted women like me to really just go for it, even though, they have, what might appear like to be excuses or bad timing in terms of their season in life, and just to like embrace the moment. So that was my hello. And not to mention, my name's Kathy. I obviously am a chatty Kathy. So to be paid to talk to other moms and help them reach their goals was just like, sign me up. And that was like 10 years ago. And I'm still doing it. And it's the most fulfilling job ever.
I love it. I love it so much. So my question is, did you find it difficult to transition into that coaching role, or was it more like the students that you already had in your e-course, was that easy to transition and provide a service to them since they pretty much were following you anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was quite easy to transition to that upon, retrospect, now that you ask me. It was pretty easy because I did already have a following, not like a humongous one, but I had a devoted following, so much so that even today when I post something on Facebook or Instagram, just recently, like last week, someone said, what did I said? I posted, I think, a photo of my daughter. Like I said, I started this when she was like a year old and she is 16 now. I'm teaching her how to drive stick shift. So
Do they
explains
still
all the
do that?
yeah, I think we have like the last Subaru that the dealer is like, this is like the last one that sticks. So, anyways, yeah, they still do that. But, anyways, someone commented, I've been following you since Wild Tangerine Dreams Day. And that was like back when she was a toddler. And so when I announced to my email list, because even though I had my blog, I still was writing them, like the weekly love notes. This is what's new on the blog this week. It just felt almost organic. It's like I feel a connection with you guys, and you have been asking me. I've been paying attention to the questions that come to me over and over again. And back then, the question that kept coming to me was, how are you able to find the time to do all that you do? You're prolifically blogging. You are making a ton of cheese from the cow you milk every day. you're, you're selling, you're posting, because I used to spin yarn and like art yarn. It was all kind of like a little crazy. And I would name it after some of my followers. They're like, how do you do it all? And homeschooling. And so that I sat with that question, and it made up the core principles that make up my coaching pillars, basically. So it's all about, I really prioritize my self-care. I prioritize, small pockets of time even for creative play. I meditate often on my values and priorities, and I'm always asking, how can this be made even just 5% more simple? So that made up the premise and foundation of answering that question. You could do it too. I've been there. I'm just a couple of steps, not ahead, but, hold my hand and I can help you through this. So it was pretty simple to offer that invitation, and people were really quick to hop on it.
That's good. It does help so much when you already have a following and you have those diehard fans that whatever you do, they're gonna buy, they're gonna follow you, and and some people think that, you have to have like thousands and thousands of followers. You have to have these numbers, but not all those people, I would say, are gonna buy from you or going to, purchase anything that you offer. Is just a number, I mean, they are people, but it's just a number. So when I used to stress out and be like, oh, I only have like 200 and I think 33 Instagram followers or something like that, I'm like, oh, that's kind of low. But then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, how am I eating from this? People are so caught up on those numbers. It's like, that's good, but is that paying the bills? I know it's a way that you can do it, but if you posting stuff and nobody's saying anything, you just have just a number, I'm like, how am I going to eat from this? Let's figure this out.
No, that's why they call it vanity metrics. It's
exactly.
Yeah, it's just almost like fictional.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. Hey there, are you looking to start a podcast without the tech overwhelm? Let me guess, you probably searched on Google and YouTube on how to get started, but the instructions and video left you feeling like, huh? Well, look no further, because I have a free guide on how to jumpstart your podcast without the complex tech talk. Head on over to hellociasdorsey.com/JSP. Again, it's hellociasdorsey.com/JSP. In this free guide, you will get a get started questionnaire, a list of resources, an outline for your show notes, a plan your podcast calendar, a schedule for your episodes, and a podcast checklist. Head on over to hellociasdorsey.com/JSP and download it now. I cannot wait to listen to your first episode. So let's talk about how niching down doesn't have to be painful. I cannot wait until you dive into this. So let's get started.
So yes, it doesn't have to be painful, but it's so funny. I did a little mini training on this recently, and I saw the heading of my training, the painful piece. And one thing working with me, I love birthing analogies. I don't know if it was from being around farm critters so much, or maybe birthing 2 kids myself. I don't know, but I do love birthing analogies. And it comes up all the time. Like, your business is your baby. So there's a lot of analogies that way, but also, like it begins like a human being, like a wish, like just a vision. And then, you consciously, this is going to happen. So the niching down process is very similar. It comes down to making a decision. And I know that can be so hard making a decision. I joke too that with each kid I had, I lost a handful of decision-making cells because it just felt like after my son was born, I was just like, just tell me what to do. And that was literally the last thing I said before he was born to the midwife. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Just tell me what to do. I want this to be over. And so So there is a little pain involved. Just like a friend's about to give birth, you can use a different word than pain, like maybe strong sensations. And it just becomes from, oh, you have to decide. But it is, I like to remember as women or however you want to position yourself, like I suppose men in the audience too, that we can just decide that we have a high pain tolerance and remember that no matter what we decide, we're always allowed to change our mind. So, saying that, the painless way, again, it is somewhat related to another birthing analogy. I won't get too deep into that. But basically, from that energy of moving from the top down is like a grounding. So I call it the BHG process. So we begin with the B, and just I'll go over it quickly, but basically the B stands for brain. And I like to invite my clients to just hold space for them to do a big brain dump on everything they bring to the table in terms of their life experiences, their trainings, education, interests. And if that feels overwhelming, then take it in bite-sized chunks. Like when you were a kid, what were you into? When did time stand still? So even like 7-year chunks, I like 7-year chunks. So from 0 to 7, and then moving on to your teen years, from 7 to 14, what were you really into when you weren't at school? 14 to 21, if you went to post-secondary, what was your major? What job? What was your first job? And then, you can go further if you have kids. Right before you had kids, what was your career after you had kids? And even just like something profound as becoming a parent or a partner, how has that changed you? And what skills did you pick up from that? So just getting all of that out of your head and onto paper, and then you move down into your heart. And I like to say, what makes you cry or what makes you sigh? Just from the beauty in the world or the struggles that you see that you can relate to, or just, my kids often, like we're the time of this recording, the Olympics are on. And whenever they play a national anthem, my kids look at me and I'm just like wafting my face. They know that means I'm about to cry. I've just been like so emotional. There's something about the Olympics. I don't know what's going on there, but you just kind of pay attention when you come close to tears and just ask yourself, what's up with that? Like, what is that about? What is it that's stirring in my soul that I feel like I need to take action or make a difference? So marrying that with what you bring with your life experiences and passions, and then coming up with your basically an I help statement. So niching down in my definition when I work with my clients is an anchor of what you can meditate on every day you come to your desk and be like, okay, I'm here to help one particular segment of the population with one particular struggle so that they can, and one result that basically feeds into that moving, stirring emotion that stirs you out in the world. So that could be something. And I even get my clients, I encourage them to write it down slowly every morning. Like for me, I help moms who are coaches get clients so that they could help other people in the world, or so that they can reach their monthly income goal, so that they can contribute to the world in a way that feels really empowering to them. And then finally, see if you can just come up with a few contenders in terms of a struggle, a population, and a result. And then the G in the BHG moving down is going with your gut and just making a choice. And this is the part when I work with my clients, sometimes it takes a whole month. We meet once a week for a month. It sometimes takes like 4 sessions. And then finally I'm going to be like, okay, you got to choose. Like, even if you decide your niche to be pretty broad, let's just go with this to begin with. But go with your gut. Learn how to trust your gut instinct. Like I was mentioning before, the bliss crumbs, what kind of gets you wagging your tail a little bit? So that's a good sign. Like I mentioned, I've been at this for like a decade, and you could pull up your old website with this website called the Wayback Machine, and you could kind of get like little like kind of like a screenshot of your website from like way back in like 2006. And I did that once, and I could see how my tagline has morphed over the years, like way back when I used to coach moms. And they were getting pretty creative, but there's still this whiff of truth of what I do today, which is all about simplifying your life, simplifying your business so you can cultivate more bliss, like both within yourself and also like spread it out. So keep it simple will allow you to have more impact in the world. So just go with your gut and trust it's onto something and then implement it. And then as you get out there and start working with people, it'll become more clear if you're on the right path. And if not, you could just do a simple little tweak, change your mind, and big whoopee ding dong. You can
I
quote me on
like
that.
that. I
Ding
like
dong's the
that.
word of the day. Long story.
No, this is really good. Yeah, because oftentimes we don't go with our gut instinct. We go with what's marketable.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of that too. I
Oh, that's
definitely
helpful
have.
too. You want to
Yeah,
consider that. And then you just have to
yeah,
trust your gut will kind of take that in consideration too.
yeah. But the I won't say danger behind that. The difficulty with that when you do go with the market is it works for them because, like you say, it might have been their gut feeling, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's for you. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, when I learn something, I know how to do it. People ask me about it. I think that, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, when really it just may not be.
Mm-hmm.
They may just be asking me about it, but that doesn't necessarily that I have to create this whole program
Mm-hmm.
for it because it's just probably like a one or two off, and I found that I do
Yes.
that a lot. So
Ah.
yeah, I found that out this year and I said I gotta stop doing that. That's out. No more. When I learn how to
No.
do something, I'll show people that's it. I don't need to create a whole program about it,
No.
because it's not my thing,
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I like to think of like my favorite clients, the one that I really look forward to working with. And I just did this thing on Instagram, like how to clone your favorite clients and just imagine you're just speaking to that same person over and over again and just repeat like their scenarios in their lives. But yeah, absolutely. You want to find that sweet spot between what there's a demand for in the market and have your own kind of spin or take on how to overcome like the main driving struggle that you feel most equipped to help them overcome. And that's going to really help your confidence. It'll help you become recognized as an expert and yeah, allow you to just like be so much better at speaking about that problem and talking about it from different angles over and over again and then build your reach.
Yeah, definitely. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. Right. So, any last minute advice you have for our listeners out there?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, you and I were to speak last week, but I really felt off and I just canceled everything. I canceled everything, but I still kept showing up with my business. So see if whatever your business is, come up with a plan to I call it my 4x1 plan, just a way that you can consistently show up that is even doable when you are having a week when, you have to go on holidays or something comes up, you're feeling like really low energy. And when you are feeling re-energized or re-inspired, then you can add some more bells and whistles. So see if you can come up with a plan really quick, my 4x1 plan, your niche and your one offer. So creating that signature offer for that community you want to serve. Choose one social media platform, keep it simple, and one weekly content and a once a week love letter to your email list, just kind of like touch point. So I was able to execute that, even though I had to unfortunately cancel this lovely conversation with you last week. But it was the most love drenched thing I could do for my clients is just to take some downtime. And now I'm feeling super charged up again and really excited to show up again.
That's good. Taking some time for
Yeah.
yourself. I love it.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So, where can everyone find you?
Sure. They can find me with a quick Google of Kathy Stowell, Kathy with the K, my last name, Stowell. Yeah, head over to my website, blissbeyondnaptime.com. And there I have a list. It's my freebie, and it's 50 coaching niches for mom. And if you download it, it also has a 10-minute mini training on this BHG process that might help you go into it a little from a different angle.
Awesome. And I
Yeah.
love your website title, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
so cute.
It has grown with me, definitely. That again, that was from when my teeny bopper was a toddler, so it's aged well.
So cute. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kathy, so much for being on the show
Thanks
today.
for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, same here. Did you like today's episode? I hope you did. Join me next week for more valuable bombs, tips, and tricks on how to grow your business by taking action. If you like this podcast, subscribe and leave us a review, or take a snapshot of this episode and tag me on Instagram at csdorsey_hello. We would love to hear from you.